The day has finally arrived. The 2022 NHL entry draft is here. We have a lot of things to break down, a lot of things to discuss for the Arizona Coyotes and the National Hockey League. On today's episode, we're going to discuss strategies that we're going to pay attention to for the Arizona Coyotes and potentially other teams to deploy as we get ready for the first round tonight. All on today's episode of Locked On Coyotes.
You're Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Robyn Leonio. That's Carl Pavlak right beside me on today's episode of Locked On Coyotes. We got a great show for you, and we want to thank everyone for making this show your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including on YouTube, and it does mean we'll never have a paywall for you guys to ever access our content. Well, once again, as I said, today is finally the day. It is draft day. The 2022 NHL entry draft in Montreal is tonight. What an exciting time it is, Carl.
Yep. It's something that we've been building up to a lot. We've talked to a lot of really cool people about some of the prospects that we're going to see. We've explored like the lives and depth of some players. It'll be interesting to see who the Coyotes end up taking.
It will be interesting. Once again, as a reminder, the Arizona Coyotes have 3 picks in the first round tonight. They have pick number 3, pick number 27, and pick number 32. Wow, here I can't believe we all got here. 3 picks, and I think we mentioned 7 picks in the first 45. Obviously, The other 4 we won't see it until tomorrow. But the fact that they have 3 picks tonight. It's a busy, busy day for us.
I saw someone post the draft drinking game, and it was drink a bottle of wine every time your team's up there. And that's just
oh, no.
It's too much wine for me. I'm not going to be able to do that. So I will unfortunately not be drinking 3 bottles of wine on draft day. Maybe if they were like shooter bottles, that could work. But that's not in spirit of anything.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work that way. But what a time it is for that. I mean, I think a lot of the hype is going to be paying attention for the Coyotes of pick number 3, right?
Yeah.
As kind of we're talking about strategies, and one of the biggest strategies they're going to do is what they do for 3, depending on what happens with 1 and 2, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, obviously, yeah, that's obvious, right? It's like, oh yeah, I mean, you're totally gonna pay attention to what happens to 1 and 2 because obviously it's gonna make it different than what you do 3. What I mean is because we've talked about it before how contested the top 3 are. Like the decision is gonna be big.
Yeah. It's something where I think the Coyotes, the main plan is that Wright and Slafkovsky are going to be gone, 1 and 2. That seems like the consensus, 1 and 2 picks. If you want to flip the order, sure. And that leaves Logan Cooley, who the fans have decided the team is probably going to draft. And I'm not really seeing any reason why the Coyotes wouldn't, unless they really want to go hard for defensemen. But if New Jersey or Montreal decide to do something weird, and let's be fair here. If New Jersey decides to do something weird, then it's a completely different ball game. And I'm sure, just like I remember reading a draft about the NBA draft lottery and like how teams were handling that. It's like, here's a binder, depending on who goes first. Here's another binder for who goes second. Here's the third binder for who goes third. So they are going to have plans and plans on top of plans, so many redundancies, but I am kind of curious to see what they end up doing.
It is mainly the consensus, and you've kind of said it, that in the majority of mock drafts, analysis, and everything that you said it, Carl, Logan Cooley, at the end of today, will be an Arizona Coyote. And that's something to be excited for, right? But even regardless, no matter what happens, even if Cooley somehow gets picked up before, or the Coyotes, have Shane Wright fall in their laps, no matter what, if you're a Coyotes fan, you're going to be excited for what happens at 3.
Yeah. Or like in the SB Nation mock draft that I took place in, Slavkovsky fell to 3rd overall, and the Coyotes were able to sweep him up. So, potentially anything could happen.
Anything could happen, and I think that's the best thing about this draft, right? Usually, it's pretty basic, right? It's you're like 1, 2, and 3. Like let's say the majority of the top, like almost what order it's going to be in. And this is the case
Yeah.
where, like, and of course with some deviance, like the mock draft last year, right, for Locked On had Power, Beniers, and William Eklund at 3. But it ended up getting who did the Ducks ended up taking? Mason McTavish at 3. And William Eklund ends up falling to 7. Like, so that happens, and that happens in every draft. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that's not going to happen this year, because that very well could happen. But most consensus is that what we're seeing.
Yeah, I think like the Jacob Chikrin going into the draft was one of the top ranked North American skaters. He was, I think, considered by most people to be the best defenseman at the draft, or second best. Top 3. Ended up falling a lot to the Coyotes, and there definitely could be something like that happens. Like, teams feel that they are going for a player that fits their system better, not just like the raw analytics. And that is kind of like something you see with a lot of the mock drafts. Like, sure, like that's the best player at 3, but is he the best fit for the team at 3? Mm-hmm. Honestly, I do hope the Coyotes just decide to draft the best player who's available. No matter what, they have so many holes; they can just get the best.
Yeah,
available.
no, the Coyotes are the kind of team, and that is what I think really benefits them. Is no matter what, they will benefit from next best player available.
Yes.
No matter what position, what number they're picking at. Obviously, it's 3 for their first pick that they have. Next best available. That's all that matters.
Yep. And we for like the latter picks too, for like 27 and 32, best person available. That's who they should go with.
Absolutely. We are talking draft strategies that we want to see from the Coyotes, and we might see from other teams as we get ready for the 2022 NHL entry draft in Montreal. Once again, that happens tonight. An exciting time. We're going to get to those other ones in just a moment, but first, turning to Carl for a quick word.
From the people who invented healthy and tasty comes the latest gift for your taste buds. You've probably already had the coconut brownie chunk Built Bar. But guess what? They are now available in puff form. That's right, they're getting the puff treatment. The coconut brownie chunk Built Bar is a flavor you've loved, and you're absolutely going to love it when it's a big, fluffy cloud of coconut brownie goodness wrapped in 100% real chocolate. The coconut brownie puff is only here for a limited time, so I want you to make sure you go to built.com to make sure you're not missing out. They're going to go fast because they're really amazing. And the best part, as always, you can enjoy them guilt-free because they're actually good for you. They're the perfect treat, perfect for what you're craving. It's getting a little bit hot out there. Get some nice, refreshing coconut. What I want you to do, built.com, and use the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com.
thanks again, everyone, for making Locked On Coyotes your first listen every day. The NHL draft is tonight, and our team of local hosts and draft experts are breaking it down with insights and analysis for every first round pick. You can subscribe to Locked On Coyotes and Locked On NHL on YouTube for all latest breakdowns on the NHL draft and more. Well, let's continue today's episode as we get ready for tonight's draft, as we talk draft strategies that we might want to pay attention to. And Carl, one of the things that I want to really see, whether it's the Coyotes or the other teams, is trading up or trading down. We might see that depending on certain teams if they fall to certain players if they fall to certain locations, because we know that's bound to happen in this draft even more so. There's been a lot of variations and a lot of mock drafts, so there's gonna be some falters.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm trying to remember if Bill Armstrong did a lot of trading down in the last draft. I know Chayka definitely did that a lot in his tenure. If he had the 36 overall pick and he could get the 45th and the 78th, he'll take it. It'll be interesting to see what Bill Armstrong really does, what his team does. I think he has a great scouting department that's going to tell him, like, hey, you really want this guy. There's a chance he could go in the next 3 picks. So maybe we should look into trading up. He's got so much capital, he can make those moves.
That's what I think is awesome about Bill Armstrong this year. I looked at the tweet. There was a tweet available earlier this week that was posted, and it was absolutely amazing to see. It was which teams have the best draft value, and obviously the Canadians are number 1, and the Coyotes are right there at number 2 with the most draft value, with a total number of 10 picks in this year's draft. Obviously, as we mentioned, 7 of them are in the first 45 picks, which is absolutely amazing. And
we're going to be very busy and then just slowing down for the rest of it.
Oh, yeah. Which is awesome, though, to see that kind of draft value and that kind of draft capital, because like you said, now they can use that to their advantage if, let's say, a Matthew Savoy or a Connor Geekie or any other player who might have been projected a top 10 falls to 17, 18, 19, 20.
Yeah. I mean, Bill Armstrong's job is to make this team better in the next, 4 to 5 years. I would probably say at this point 3 to 4 is more accurate, but let's stick with 4 to 5. However, he needs, whatever he needs to do that could happen at this draft. It could be, acquiring players. I imagine he's going to be, I would be shocked if the Coyotes don't end up getting a pick to take a player away from a team, just because there's lots of holes in the lineup, and the Coyotes love that move, and they will absolutely do it. But yeah, I am very curious. I don't think anyone they draft is going to be playing with the team to next season.
No.
But I didn't think that about JJ Mosier either. So, who knows who ends up getting picked, especially in the second round, where you can be a little bit more adventurous with your over-agers.
Maybe that's another thing that Bill Armstrong does. Pays attention to, number 1, over-the-agers, and number 2, European players.
Yeah.
Because the European players, as we talked about with Tony Ferrari a few weeks ago, do not have the restrictions of they have to be sent back to that team. They can come over to North America, and then if they're not ready to play for the Coyotes or for whatever NHL team they get drafted by, they're like, all right, we're gonna send you to the AHL. If you feel like you're AHL worthy, we'll send you right there. Otherwise, you can get sent back to your junior team back in Europe. But which has happened. There's been many cases where that's actually happened. But if you're a team like the Coyotes and you want to have a close pay attention, a close eye, a close ear to these developing players, why not go to, like what you said, the over-agers and the Europeans, and then send them to Tucson right away?
Yeah. It also kind of restocks the Tucson Roadrunners, who, seemed like they were getting pretty depleted by the end with all the call-ups for the
Yeah.
Coyotes.
Yeah.
But, if the Coyotes are looking to be competitive in, 3 to 4 years, and you can get a player who's like 22 or 21, and they're going to be ready in that timeline, why not go for that? Especially since, the older they are, the more data you have on them. Like, you've watched them play longer. They lost that season to COVID, sure, depending on where they were playing, but they have another one under their belt. Like, the pandemic really just kind of did a number to the drafting and the prospect, evaluations and all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, the interesting about the over-agers is that you have more data. The uh, um, there's an upside and a downside to that, and they're both kind of roughly in that same in that same bit. The upside is you have a lot more information, right? And the downside is with that more information, you know that their ceiling is lower, but you also know that they're again flipping it back to the other side again. You know that their floor, you know exactly what their floor is going to be. You know exactly what their potential is going to be. It's like, all right, this player is going to be roughly around a third line winger, or this person is
Yeah.
going to be a third pair defenseman, and that's fine because we know they're guaranteed to play in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, I do often wonder, like, every draft except for this one, it seems like someone will make the argument for raising the minimum draft age. Maybe it's not so much now, but it's something I remember seeing a lot. Like, should it be 19? Because, honestly, outside of like a few exceptions, you really don't know like what an 18-year-old kid can do. And there's a reason that a lot of draft picks are misses. And why, like, I think, like, even a year later, like, you can tell a lot more about what that player is. And, we don't normally see redrafts until like 5 years later, but still, like, that's one of the fun things about redrafts, like being like, hey, we've had some time. We're now reevaluating these players on what they actually did. And I don't know. We've seen Bill Armstrong is fine drafting over-agers. He's fine drafting European players. I imagine that's going to continue at this draft.
Absolutely. With all the draft capital too, I will say that, and using that to his advantage, I've used the word. I tweeted about this earlier this week with the graphic that I mentioned, Carl. Bill the Builder.
It's a good one. Andre Torini referred to him as Santa Claus in an article.
Which that one I love too. Santa Claus.
I misread it at first and thought that Bear was Santa, but no, Bill Armstrong is, and it's a good description.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Armstrong set it up for Bear, right? It's like, oh well, he got so many opportunities here to build this team. Like Bear is gonna get he's gonna get the team he wants.
He is definitely going to have a lot of players like this upcoming year's like rookie development camp. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun for him.
Absolutely. Prospect development camp, I think, is in about a week or two. I think for the Arizona Coyotes at Ice Den Scottsdale. So and I think it is.
We
open
just
to
had the
public
preseason, and now it's going too fast. It's going way too fast.
Right? I know, right? But prospect development camp will be coming around then. We'll probably do something. Maybe I might be in town for some of the practices to kind of get myself to pay attention to.
Yeah, I've been to previous prospect development camps. They're a good time if it's available to the public, which, like you said, it sounds like it's going to be, which makes sense. Usually is. It's a great place to watch the future.
Absolutely. Well, we still got a little bit more to get to on this episode of Locked On Coyotes. Once again, we're doing draft strategies and other things like that on today's episode. Before we get to any more, though, I want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing number of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store stock all the parts you need. Why offer important answers to the intimidating questioning? Is your Audacy an LX or an EX? Well, the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer, choosing only the brand their warehouse happens to carry. You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. Save time and money when using Rock Auto. You can save up to 50% or even more from the same parts from a chain store or car dealership. And Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Their prices are reliably low for every customer and have everything you could possibly need: brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, and even new carpet. Go ahead and check it out yourself and see all the parts available for your car or truck. And be sure to write "Locked On" in their "How did you hear about us" box so they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. RockAuto.com. And let's finish things off for today's episode as we get ready for draft strategies. Because this is an interesting draft call, and I think it's we talked about this, right? And there's 7 picks for the Coyotes, the 7 picks in the first 45. How they're going to tackle, 27, 32, 34, 36. Are they going to have everything lined up at that point? Because based off
I do think a lot of the people we were talking to said that 20 to 30, even maybe 40, those players are interchangeable. Honestly, what I would like Bill Armstrong to do, and what I did in the SB Nation mock draft, was to be a little bit more daring with some of those later picks. I had the Coyotes select Lane Hudson at 27th overall. Here's the thing about Lane Hudson. He's 5'8". I think we talked off mic about him being 5'8.25" in the official draft registry. 148 pounds and a defenseman, but he has the highest point total for defensemen in his league in the really good, U.S. National Development Program. That's a risky player, but if you got 7 picks, I just hope he doesn't play it safe.
Then something could stick. That's the cool thing. And that's why I'm glad you brought that up, because so many teams are extremely hesitant to draft undersized players, let alone almost a severely undersized player in Lane Hudson. You mentioned it, 5'8", what was it, 140?
148.
Yeah, that is a small player. Small player. But I think there's some benefit to that. Like you said, he was, he scored one of the some of the highest point total among defensemen. And that's one thing. And 2, if he gets drafted, he will get put through a very intense workout program to get him to bulk up, to get him to get bigger.
And I mean, we are starting to see size come down a little bit for defensemen. It definitely happened much quicker for forwards, but Cale Makar, 5'11", listed at 187. He was drafted, I think, 5'10". So he's not too much shorter than, one of the best defensemen in the world right now. And if you have a lot of picks, make that chance for a couple of them. If the Coyotes just had a pick in the first round, maybe 2 in the second, I'd be be conservative about it. Go with players who you think are going to make it. For 7, I'm be smart, but take chances.
Yeah, I mean, what was this? I think it was when we had Will Scouch on, right? Where it's if 2 or 3, at least 2 or 3 of those picks in the first 7 that you make for the Coyotes actually, develop in the way you want them to develop, that's a win. It's an automatic win. Coyotes did a phenomenal job in that draft.
I mean, it is going back to what I said about drafting 19-year-olds and how big of a difference it can make just with 1 year. Yeah, that's the case with the NHL draft. You need just a couple of hits in order to find success. The problem was the Coyotes weren't even getting those like 2 or 3 like players being like real big hits. Like they're only
I think
now really getting that.
the other problem is the Coyotes draft picks in the last 2-3 years. The number of picks that they've had have been very, very slim. Because
Yeah.
the last 2 drafts, they've had the forfeit picks. And I think the 2020 draft, they didn't get their first pick until like the 4th round, and that pick also ended up getting get, getting
They
relinquished.
surrendered the rights to, I believe,
Yeah,
was
they
the
surrendered the right. They surrendered whatever term we want to use for that. They relinquished their rights to that
relinquished.
pick.
That's
And in in this one they didn't. In the most recent one, they did not have a pick in the first round, and then just somehow traded in. So there was another thing there. And even though the previous draft they didn't have a first round either because that was what they got rid of to get Taylor Hall.
yeah. I mean, the Coyotes are in a much different position now than they are, years ago, because that's what Bill Armstrong has been doing. He's been stripping the team down, selling it for parts, and sure, a lot of that happened last year, but it was for this year's picks, and I'm kind of interested to see something we've talked about. How big does he go in for the 2023 draft? Because it's still one where the Coyotes are going to be probably pretty high up in the drafting.
Obviously, like the big ticket is Connor Bedard, and if they can get the best chances to draft Connor Bedard next year, that's also makes things different. You've heard multiple people come on this show that say Connor Bedard is the kind of player that will turn around a team in almost instantaneously. And if you have Connor Bedard coming in 2023, right? Some players might have been developed by then. Coyotes will be on the upswing. 2024, 2025. When they get ready to hopefully move into the new arena in Tempe.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine, Dylan Guenther is going to be ready 2023. You think? There's people who are talking about him not having much to do in Edmonton next season. But still, I don't think the Coyotes rush him. Whoever they draft next year or at this upcoming draft, I can see them being potentially ready soon. Who knows what? Let's say Logan Cooley, if he wants to stay in Boston with college. Some players like to have that second year.
Minnesota.
No reason. Or Minnesota. God, why do I keep thinking he's going to Boston? Minnesota. If the Coyotes draft him, I will remember what college he goes to. Or I'll just get a Boston University jersey with Cooley on the back.
And people are like,
Let's be fair. No one's going to know. Except for some college hockey people who will get very angry at me.
I mean, there are some college hockey fans here in Arizona because there is an NCAA program.
There is, yes. And they'll get very angry at me for wearing my Jersey Foul Cooley jersey.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just be Cooley about it.
But make up for it by wearing a Josh Doan ASU jersey, and you're good.
Yeah, sure, I'll do that. I'll frank it.
Not me. You could never catch me in an ASU jersey.
Maybe one day.
If we can get enough subscribers, maybe.
Yeah,
we've talked about this.
We have
off the air. Off the air.
Yeah. All right, but yeah, I think there's going to be a lot that's happening in the next couple days. So it'll be interesting to see how Bill Armstrong reacts to it. I imagine he's going to be working a lot of phone calls. He's going to be talking to a lot of people. But I have faith, knock on wood, that he makes the right calls.
Oh yeah, no, we all have faith that Bill Armstrong makes the right calls because he's so far in last year's draft did a great job.
Yeah.
If he can knock it out of the park again and consistently do it, That's what makes it a good general manager. Uh, Armstrong has so far, proven that he can completely set up the rebuild. It's execution is all that matters now. It's who he drafts, who he acquires, how you're gonna and also up to Bear how it's gonna be used.
Yep. All we can do is draft him and then develop him.
Yep, that is the absolute hope. But man, it is gonna be a wild next 48 hours, less 36 hours for the Arizona Coyotes. Yeah, wild next 36 hours. Let's give it that for the Arizona Coyotes.
We'll be very busy.
Yeah. We will probably have an episode coming out at the conclusion of the entire draft. Once all the picks have been made, so we can kind of break things down as best we can, because that will make things for a really fun episode once we know all 10 picks, maybe more, maybe less, who knows, from the Arizona Coyotes.
Definitely.
Any final thoughts you want to give out before we close things off?
Just good luck out there to all the prospects who are looking to hear their names today. Ultimately, this day is about you, so I don't want to take it away. Just always remember to focus on the players in these kind of instances.
Absolutely, because it is a absolutely stressful time for some of these players. So good luck to some of you guys, and just have fun. Have fun tonight and tomorrow. You guys will absolutely enjoy your day. Anyways, That's it for today's episode of Locked On Coyotes. Hope you like what you heard. Don't forget to leave a review, to like, comment, subscribe if you have yet to already. We're available everywhere you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. Don't forget to interact with us on social media. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/LockedOnCoyotes, on Instagram at LockedOnCoyotes, and on Twitter at LO_Coyotes. I am personally at Robyn_Leonio. Carl Pavlock is Carl Pavlock FFH. Interact with us, ask the question you might have. We might answer right back, or on a future episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to today's episode. Hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hope you guys are staying healthy. And don't forget to howl on.